You're live. Let me just make sure it's live. Hello. Buckle up, Bobinko Bimbo Biria, the big tree, baby. Hi. Um, I'm gonna try to be fast because it's a chapter. It's not a long chapter, but I know I'm a slow speaker. So let me just make sure I get this going, and then let me get the Go room open. Join. No, not join. Host. Create. Boom. Yeah. Firework. Oh my god. I should have had this done before stream. But I had to use the potty. I was nervy. Okay. Copy ID. And then let's put that in the chat. Oh, bap, 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 bap. Look, that's long. Whatever. And then we'll pin this. Actually, no, let me remove it. I want to make it look better. Okay. Go room ID. Let's put a game with a sparkle on it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and whoa. Okay, so that's in the chat. If anybody wants to, at the time of this recording, join the Go room, please go ahead and use that. Boom, boom. Yay! How do I clear that out? Okay, select. I have a little bit of screen tearing. I don't know if you can see it on stream. You can't see it on stream. But this is my Go room. I made it last night. No, 2 days ago. It's a little mishmash, but whatever. We're having fun. It's a good time. Okay, let me introduce you to The Complete Artist Way by Julia Cameron. I'm not 100%. I think this might be James Cameron's wife. I don't know. Okay, I just pulled that random misinformation out of my culo. Disregard. Okay, all right. So this is The Complete Artist Way by Julia Cameron. All my camera settings. Scale, filtering, dimness, show translation, camera settings. Boop, boop, boop. Can I edit this on live? Configure video. Let's tone down the brightness a little bit. The contrast, just a tiny bit. A little warmer. And let's add just a little sharpness. Okay. 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 Did it edit? I don't know. I don't think it did. Okay, whatever. Okay, so this is a book that I started last year. Didn't get super duper far. But that's okay. Because, you know, you just start over again. It's okay. Nothing wrong. Let me just go ahead and read through it out loud. I'm gonna, if I stumble my words, might be, gonna skip the intro. I read it last time. Okay, nope, gratitude list. Interesting. Okay, let's get going. When people ask me what I do, I usually answer, I'm a writer, director, and I teach these creative workshops. The last one interests them, How can you teach creativity? They want to know. Defiance fights with curiosity in their faces. I can't, I tell them. I teach people to let themselves be creative. Oh, you mean we're all creative? Now disbelief and hope battles it out. Yes. You really believe that? Yes. So what do you do? This book is what I do. For decades now, I have taught a spiritual workshop aimed at freeing people's creativity. I have taught artists and non-artists, painters and filmmakers, and homemakers and lawyers, anyone interested in living more creatively through practicing an art, even more broadly, anyone interested in practicing the art of creative living. While using teaching and sharing tools I have found divisive, divined, and well handled, I have seen blocks dissolve and lives transformed by the simplest processes of engaging the great creator in discovering and recovering our creative powers. Slay. The great creator? That sounds like some Native American god. This sounds too Christian, too New Age, too stupid, simple minded, threatening. I know. I think of this as an exercise in open mindedness. Just think, okay, great creator, whatever that is, and keep reading. Allow yourself to experience with the idea that there is a great creator and you might get some use from in freeing your own creativity. Because Artist's Way is, in essence, a spiritual path initiated and practiced through creativity, this book uses the word God. This may be volatile for some of you, conjuring old, unworkable, unpleasant, and simply unbelievable ideas about God as you were raised to understand Him. Please be open-minded. So, it does talk about God. Can you see? Is it too bright? Alexa, turn plant light off.
Okay.
Remind yourself to be succeed. Remind yourself to succeed in this course. No, girl, you better shut your ass up. Remind yourself to succeed in this course, no God concept is necessary. In fact, many of our commonly held God concepts get. I looked away for 3 milliseconds. Get in the way. Do not allow semantics to become one more block for you. Let me get a ruler. Let me read. Okay. Where was I? When the word God is used in these pages, you may substitute the thought God, good, orderly direction or flow. What we are talking about is a creative energy. God is useful shorthand for many of us, but so is goddess, mind, universe, source, higher power. The point is not what you name it. The point is that you try using it. For many of us, thinking of this is a form of spiritual electricity has been a very useful jumping off place. By the simple scientific approach of experimentation and observation, the workable connection with the flow of good orderly direction can easily be established. It's not the intent of these pages to engage in explaining, debating, or defining that flow. You do not need to understand electricity to use it. Do not call it God unless it is comfortable for you. There seems to be no need to name it unless that name is the useful shorthand for what you experience. Do not pretend to believe what you do not. If you remain forever in an atheist, agnostic, so be it. You will still be able to experience an altered life through working with these principles. I have worked artist to artist with potters, photographers, poets, screenwriters, dancers, novelists, actors, and directors. There's no and there. Directors, and with those who knew only that what they dreamed to be or not, or who only dreamed of being somehow more creative. I have seen blocked painters paint, broken poets speak in tongues, halt and lame and maimed writers racing through the final drafts. I have come to not only believe, but know. No matter your age or your life path, whatever making art is your whether making art is your career or your hobby or your dream, it is not too late to or too egotistical or too selfish or too silly to work on your creativity. One 50-year-old student who always wanted to write used these tools and emerged as a prize-winning playwright. A judge used these tools to fulfill his lifelong dream of sculpting. Not all students become full-time artists as a result of this course. In fact, many full-time artists report that they had to become more creatively rounded into full-time people. Ba ba ba. I'm so good at reading out loud. Hee hee. Maybe this will get me. Alexa, you better shut your bitch ass up, baby. Okay. Through my own experience and that of countless others, I have shared and come to believe that creativity is our true nature. That blocks are an unnatural, thwarting. That blocks are, girl, I have come to believe that creativity is our true nature. That blocks are an unnatural thwarting of a process at once as girl process at once as normal and as miraculous as the blossoming of flowers at the end of slender green stems. I have found this practice of making spiritual contact to be both simple and straightforward. If you are creatively blocked, and I believe all of us are to some extent, it is possible, even profitable. Probable, not profitable. Oh my god, capitalism. Probable that you can learn and create more freely through your willing use of tools this book provides. Just as doing hatha yoga stretches alters consciousness when all you are doing is stretching, doing the exercises in this book alters consciousness when all you are doing is writing and playing. Do these things and a breakthrough will flow, whether you believe in it or not, whether you call it spiritual awakening or not. In short, the theory doesn't matter as much as the practice itself. What you are doing is creating pathways in the consciousness through which the creative forces can operate. Once you agree to clearing those pathways, your creativity emerges. In a sense, your creativity is like your blood. Just as blood is a fact of your physical body and nothing you invented, creativity is a fact of your spiritual body and nothing you must invent. Slay. Let me drink some water. Okay. So what it's really saying is we are creatively blocked. Everybody to a certain extent is probably creatively blocked. We're all held back by what we're dealing with in our regular day life, which, yeah, that's still stuff that needs to get addressed. But there is a way to work in creativity that can help you in your general life, to hopefully move forward and be a more well-rounded person, both creatively and professionally. Depends on like how you want to live your life. That's like a person to person thing. I ain't gonna tell you what to do. Change your fucking career path. I ain't saying all that, but maybe new paths can open up through creativity. You never know. Okay. Our own journey. I began teaching the creative workshops in New York. I taught them because I was told to teach them. One minute I was walking in the West Village on a cobblestone street and with beautiful afternoon lights. The next minute I suddenly knew that I should begin teaching people, groups of people, how to unblock. Maybe it was a wish exhaled on someone else's walk. Certainly Greenwich Village must contain a greater density of artists, blocked and otherwise, than nearly any place else in America. Pardon me. I need to unblock. Someone may have breathed out. I know how to do it, I may have responded, picking up the cue. My life has always included strong internal directives. Marching orders, I call them. Girl. Real. In any case, I suddenly knew I did not know how to unblock people and that I was meant to do so. Starting then, there with the lessons I myself had learned, where the lessons come from. Shadi was Jean d'Arc of teaching people how to artist. Not how to artist, more to artist. Okay. In 1978, in January, I stopped drinking. I had never thought drinking made me a writer, but now I suddenly thought not drinking might make me stop. In my mind, drinking and writing went together, like, well, scotch and soda. For me, the trick was always getting past the fear into the page. I was playing beat the clock, trying to write before the booze closed in like fog and my window of creativity was blocked again. Girl. By the time I was thirsty and abruptly sober, I had an office on the Paramount lot and had a whole career out of that kind of creativity. Okay. Uh, uh, I feel like this is like a level of ableism, but like, it worked for her, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Creative in spasms. Creative as an act of will and ego. Okay, yeah. Creative on behalf of others. Creative, yes, but in spurts like blood from a severed carotid artery. A decade of writing, and I knew was how to. And somebody's taking a shit. Girl, I hope that's not coming up on the microphone. Carotid artery, a decade of writing, and all I knew was how to make these headlong dashes and hurl myself, against all odds, at the wall of whatever I was writing. If creativity was spiritual in any sense, it was only in resemblance to a crucifixion. I fell upon the thorn of prose. I bled. I bled. If I could have continued writing the old, painful way, I seriously hope that's not the. I see it on the mic. Hold on. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna pause. Okay, sorry. I think she's done. Okay, alrighty, where am I? Where am I? Okay, we were talking about the blood. If I continued writing the old, painful way, I would have certainly still be doing it. The week I got sober, I had two national magazine pieces out, a newly minted feature script, an alcohol problem I could not handle any longer. Diva. I told myself that if sobriety meant no creativity, I did not want to be sober. Yet I recognized that drinking would kill me and the creativity. I needed to learn how to write sober, or else give up writing entirely. Necessity, not virtue, was the beginning of my spirituality. I was forced to find a new creative path, and this is where my lesson began. I learned to turn my creativity over to the only God I believe in, the God of creativity. The life force Dylan Thomas called the force that through the green fuse drives the flowers. Now, girl, what the hell is a green fuse? I learned to get out of the way. Why am I talking country? I learned to show up at the page and write down what I heard. Writing became more of an eavesdropping and less of an inventing a nuclear bomb. Okay? I wasn't so tricky. I didn't blow up on me anymore. I didn't have to be in the mood. I didn't have to take my emotional temperature to see if inspiration was pending. I simply wrote. No negotiations, good, bad, none of my business. I wasn't doing it. By resigning myself to self-conscious author, I wrote freely. In retrospect, I am astounded I could let go of the drama of being a suffering artist. Nothing dies harder than a bad idea, and few ideas are worse than the ones we have about art. We can change so many things off to our suffering charge charge so many things off to our suffering artist identity: drunkenness, promiscuity, fiscal problems, a certain ruthlessness or self-destructiveness in matters of the heart. We all know how broke, crazy, promiscuous, unreliable artists are. And if they don't have to be, then what's my excuse? Real diva. The idea that I could be sane, sober, and creative terrified me, implying as if it did the possibility of personal accountability. You mean if I had these gifts, I'm supposed to use them? Yes, girl. Eventually. Providental. Girl. Hold on. Let me Google that word. Providentially. Please give me a
Providential. Providential. Providentially.
providentially. What does that mean? Occurring by or as if an intervention of providence. Okay, but what is providence? I'm gonna assume that's God. I think she's talking about God again. She's always thinking about God again. Okay. I was sent another blocked writer to work with and on at this time. I began to teach him what I was learning. Get out of the way. Let it work through you. Accumulate pages, not judgments. He too soon began to unblock. Now there were two of us. Soon I had another victim. This one a painter. The tools worked for visual artists too. This was very exciting to me. This was very exciting to me, girl. Oh. In my grander moments, I imagined I was turning into a creative cartographer, mapping ways out of confusion for myself and for whoever I wanted to follow. I never planned to become a teacher. I was only angry learning it. What? I was only angry I had never had a teacher myself. Why did I have to learn that what I learned? Why did I have to learn what I learned the way I learned it, girl? And all by trial and error, all by walking into walls. We artists should be more teachable, I thought. Shortcuts and hazards to the trial could be flagged. These are the thoughts that eddied with me as I took my afternoon walks, enjoying the light off the Hudson, plotting what I could write next, enter the marching orders I was to teach. Girl. Within a week I was offered a teaching position. Girl. See, so this part like tripped me up the first time I read it. Within a week I was on private yacht. I think this person is also coming from a place of privilege, which is what we have to keep in mind about artists. Is if they seem to be making jumps this fast, we need to be cognizant of the social advantages that this person may have, that they don't have certain roadblocks that other people have. So just like let's just be aware of that. Just like let's just be aware of that those social stratifications. Um yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna skip that because she's talking about her man. She's talking about going on. Okay. Okay. So we're skipping the last page. Sorry, I'm not gonna be extensive with this. I have read this before. In the later chapters, which I didn't get to, I think I only got to week 3 when I did this my first time. Or maybe even week 2. I don't know. I'll probably be a lot more in depth and a little bit slower, but as it stands, my mama wants to have lunch. Ew, I called myself mama. Okay. Anyway. Spiritual electricity. For most of us, the idea that the Creator encourages creativity is a radical thought. We tend to think, or at least fear, that creative dreams are egotistical, something that God wouldn't approve for us. After all, our creative artist is an inner youngster and prone to childish thinking. If our mom or dad express doubt or disapproval of our creative dreams, we may project that same attitude into a parental God. This thinking must be undone. What we are talking about is an induced or invited spiritual experience. I refer to this process as the spiritual chiropractic. See what I'm talking about? Things you need to like. Chiropractic is a nuanced study of the body, but also I'm saying you gotta think. Remember the lens. Remember the lens that we're reading this through, or of who is speaking to us. Okay. As a teacher, I often sense the presence of something transcendent, a spiritual electricity, if you will. I have come to rely on it, transcending my own limitations. I take the phrase inspired teacher to be the quite literal compliment, a higher hand that just my own engages. A higher hand than just my own engages us. Christ said, "Wherever 2 or more are gathered together, there I am in your midst." The God of creativity seems to feel the same way. The heart of creativity is an experience of the mystical union. The heart of the mystical union is an experience of your creativity. Those who speak in spiritual terms routinely refer to God as the creator, but seldom see creator as the literal term for an artist. I am suggesting that you take the term creator quite literally. You are seeking to forge a creative alliance. Artist to artist with the great creator, accepting this concept can greatly expand your creative possibilities. As you work with the tools of this book, you undertake the weekly tasks. Many changes will set in motion. Chief among these changes will be triggering of synchronicity. We change and the universe furthers and expands this change. I have an irreverent shorthand for this that I keep taped to my writing desk. Leap and the net will appear. I saw a TikTok earlier yesterday, I think, talking about the artist way that I was like, ah shit, this is gonna be so hipstery. And it like specifically referenced synchronicity, and it was like a bunch of like Brooklyn hipsters like wearing um not jumper overalls with berets, and they're all in brown, and they're like synchronicity, the artist's way, go on a date, take up a hobby, and like yes. And then that's like why I'm also like constantly saying like remember the lens of who's speaking, and think about like what actually works for you, your lifestyle. Because it's a little absurd the way The artist frames things in my humble open onion. Look at my poor sleepy thing. Okay. Where was I? Synchronicity. It is my experience both as an artist and a teacher that you will move out on faith to the act of creation. The universe is able to advance. It is a little like opening the gate at the top of a field irrigation system. Girl, what is a field irrigation system? I don't know what that is. Once we remove the blocks, the flow moves in. Okay. Avatar The Last Airbender, when Aang goes and meets the guru and they go to some pond and he's talking about the chakras and he's like, look at this pond. The chakras are blocked. Let me move this moss and the water will flow. Boom. Little millennial reference, maybe a little bit better than whatever the fuck this is. Irrigation system, my asshole. Again, I do not ask you to believe in this. In order for this creative emergence to happen, you do not have to believe in God. I simply ask for you to observe and note this process as it unfolds. In effect, you will be midwiving and witnessing your own creative progression. Girl. Open-minded. Open-minded. Okay. Creativity is experienced to my eyes, a spiritual experience. It does not matter which way you think of it. Creativity leads to spirituality, or spirituality leads to creativity. In fact, I do not make a distinction between the two. Let me move my phones away from, because I think that makes sound on the mic. In fact, such experience, the whole question, where was I? The whole question of belief is rendered obsolete. As Carl Jung answered the question of belief latent is life, I do not believe, I know. The following spiritual principles are the bedrock on which creative recovery and discovery can be built. Read them through once a day. Keep an inner ear cocked for any shifts in attitude or belief. Once a day, Diva. Okay, let's see these things. Creativity is the natural order of life. Life is energy, pure creative energy. There is an underlying and indwelling creative force infused all of life, including ourselves. Okay. When we open ourselves to our creativity, we open ourselves to the Creator's creativity within us and our lives. Cute. We are ourselves creations. We, in turn, are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves. Drama. It's giving lineage. You know what I mean? Sorry, I need chopstick. I'm one of those assholes who have the giant aquaphor. People like look at me so sideways when I bring it out. And I'm like, it's just aquaphor, baby. Yeah, I put it on like this. I'm still rubbing it in. You gotta warm it up. Is a Happy New Year song? Okay. I read that. Okay. Creativity is God's gift to us. Using our creativity is our gift back to God. That slays. That kind of slays. The refusal to be creative is self-will and is counter to our true nature. Um, I think that one's worded a little antagonistic, I suppose. I don't know how to explain that. When we open ourselves to exploring our creativity, we open ourselves to God, good, orderly direction. As we open our creative channels to the Creator, many gentle but powerful changes can be expected. It is safe to open ourselves up to greater and greater creativity. Our creative dreams and yearnings come from a divine source. As we move forward our dreams, we move towards our divinity. Okay, that pops off. That pops off. I fuck with that. Okay. Okay. There are a number of ways to use this book. Most of all, I invite you to use it creatively. This section offers you a sort of roadmap through the process. With some specific ideas about how to proceed, some students have done the course solo. Others have formed circles to work through the book together. In the back of the book, you will find guidelines about doing the work in groups. No matter which way you choose, the artist way will work for you. First, you may want to glance through the book to get a sense of territory covered. Reading the book through is not the same as using it. Each chapter includes essays, exercises, tasks, and weekly check-ins. Don't be daunted by the amount of work it seems to entail. Much of the work is really play, and the course takes a little more than an hour a day. It does take an hour a day. I did this at work. I have a really chill job, so I can. Where I would do the morning pages in the first hour of the day, which was very chill for me because we didn't have a lot of like early morning clients, I'd say. When I am formally teaching, I suggest students to set a weekly schedule. For example, you're going to work a Sunday to Sunday week. Begin by reading the chapter of the week on Sunday nights. Oh, After you've read the chapter, speed right through the exercise. The exercise in each week are critical. So are the morning pages and the artist state. More about these in the next chapter. In the next chapter. You probably won't have time to complete all the other tasks in any given week. Try to do about half. Know what the rest are there for you to use when you are able to get back to them. In choosing which half of the task to do, use two guidelines. Pick what most appeals to you and those you strongly resist. Leave the more neutral ones out for later. Just remember, in choosing what we are often resist, what we most need. In all the time commitment of those of about in all, make a time commitment of about 7 or 10 hours a week, an hour a day, or slightly more if you choose. The modest commitment of using the tools can yield tremendous results within the 12 weeks of the course. The same tools used over a longer period can alter the trajectory of life. In working with this book, remember that the artist's way is a spiral path. You will circle through some of the issues over and over, each time a different level. There's no such thing as being done with an artistic life. Frustrations and rewards exist at all levels of the path. Our aim here is to find the trail, establish our footing, and begin the climb. The creative vistas that open all will quickly excite you. Looking down while reading makes my salivatory glands go blah, blah, blah. Head up. Many of us wish we are more creative. Many of us sense we are more creative, but unable to effectively tap that creativity. Our dreams elude us. Our lives feel somewhat flat. How often we have great ideas, wonderful dreams, and are unable to actualize them for ourselves. Sometimes we have specific creative longings that we would love to be able to fulfill. Learning to play the piano, painting, taking an acting class, or writing, sometimes our goal is more diffuse. We hunger for what we might be calling creative living, an expanded sense of creativity in our business lives, in that in sharing with our children, our spouse, our friends. While there is no quick fix for instant pain-free creativity, while there is no quick fix for instance, instant? Oh, there's no quick fix for instant, pain-free creativity. Creative recovery or discovery is a teachable, trackable, spiritual process. Each of us is complex and highly individual. Yet there are common recognizable denominators to the creative recovery process. Sorry. I'm trying to be away from the camera while I reset my mouth. Okay. Working with this process, I see a certain amount of defiance and giddiness in the first few weeks. This entry stage is followed closely by explosive anger in the course's midsection. See, I didn't even get really past the early stages because I don't know, suck. Where was I? Where is it? Explosive anger in the midsection. The anger is followed by grief, then altering waves of resistance and hope. This peaks and valley phase of growth becomes a series of expansions and contractions. A birthing process in which students experience intense elation and defensive skepticism. Girl, whatever. This choppy growth phase is followed by a strong urge to abandon the process and return to life as we know it. In other words, a bargaining period. People are often tempted to abandon the course at this point. I call this the creative U-turn. Recommitment to the process next triggers the free fall of major ego surrender. Following this, the final phase of the course is characterized by a new sense of self marked by autonomy, resilience, expectancy, and excitement, as well as by the capacity to make and execute concrete creative plans. See, see, concrete creative plans. I have grand visions of drawing a thing that looks real hot sexy, but I'm like, okay, but like, how do I formulate that into what it'll look like? That's that in between phase that I'm trying to get to, because like for me personally, I have visions of the final product that I get daunted by the amount of work it takes to bring forth the final product. And that's what I'm doing this for, is to help myself work through the pains of self-doubt and being anxious and being intimidated by my own desires, I suppose. Expectations. My way too great expectations. Okay, where was I? Strong urge to abandon the process, creative plans. Okay, this sounds like a lot of emotional tumult. It is. When we engage in a creativity recovery, we enter in a withdrawal. Let me just fix the volume because it's a little loud. All that for that to be the same. Let me just take off my headphones. Okay. Okay. Where was I? Tumult. Where was the tumult? There it is. Okay. When we engage in a creativity recovery, we enter in a withdrawal process from life as we know it. Withdrawal is another way of saying detachment or non-detachment, which is emblematic of consistent work with any meditation practice. In movie terms, we we slowly pull focus, lifting up and away from being embedded in our lives until we attain an overview. This overview empowers us to make valid creative choices. Think of this as a journey with difficult, varied, and fascinating terrain. You are moving to higher ground. The fruit of your withdrawal is what you need to understand as a positive process, both painful and exhilarating. Many of us find that we have squandered our own creative energies by investing disproportionately in lives, hopes, dreams, and plans of others. See, now this wrung me out dry. This was the disrespect. Okay. Their lives have obscured and detoured our own. As we consolidate a core through our withdrawal process, we become more able to... I forgot those were there. They're... Okay, they're fine. They're fine. Can you even read them? Ugh. Ouchies. The ouchies of them all. Okay. Let's see, where was I? Okay. Consolidated core through withdrawal process become more able to articulate our own boundaries, dreams, and authentic goals. Our personal flexibility increases while our malleability to the whims of others decreases. We experience a heightened sense of autonomy and possibility. Ordinarily, when we speak of withdrawal, we think of having a substance removed from us. We give up alcohol, drugs, sugar, fat, caffeine, nicotine, and we suffer withdrawal. It's useful to view creative withdrawal as a little differently. We ourselves are the substance we withdraw to, not from, as we pull our overextended and misplaced creative energy back to our own core. We begin to excavate our buried dreams. This is a tricky process. Some of us, our dreams are very volatile, and the mere act of brushing them off sends an enormous surge of energy bolting through our denial system. Such grief, such loss, such pain. It is at this point in the recovery process that we make that what Robert Bly calls a descent into ashes. Oh. We mourn the self we abandon. We greet this self as we might greet a lover at the end of a long and costly war. To suffer a creative recovery, we must undergo a time of mourning in dealing with the suicide of the nice self we have been making do with. We find a certain amount of grief to be essential, girl. Essential. Grief. I don't want grief to be essential. I'm already grieving enough. Our tears prepare the ground for our future growth. Why must we always suffer? Without the creative moistening, we remain barren. We must allow the bolt of pain to strike us. Remember, this is useful pain. Lightning illuminates. Girl. Lightning illuminates my fucking ass. Open-minded. How to know you are creatively blocked? Jealousy is an excellent clue. This brought me out dry. Are there artists whom you resent? Do you tell yourself, I could do that, if only... Do you tell yourself that if only you took the creative potential seriously, you might? Stop telling yourself it's too late. Stop waiting until you make enough money. Do something you'll really love. Stop telling yourself it's just my ego whenever you yearn for a more creative life. Stop telling yourself that dreams don't matter, that they are only dreams, and that you should be more sensible. Stop fearing that your family and friends could think you're crazy. Stop telling yourself that creativity is a luxury and that you should be grateful for what you got. As you learn to recognize, nurture, and protect your inner artists, you will be able to move beyond pain and creative constriction. You will learn ways to recognize and resolve fear, remove emotional scar tissue, and strengthen your confidence. Damaging old ideas about creativity will be explored and discarded. Working with this book, you will experience an intensive, guided encounter with your own creativity, your private villains, champions, wishes, fears, dreams, hopes, and triumphs. This experience will make you excited, depressed, angry, afraid, joyous, hopeful, and ultimately more free. And then I wrote this, we mourn the self that we abandoned. I forget where I saw that. And then I just, これね, have confidence. I don't care that is followed by no confidence. Have confidence. Literally, mantra. That's a fucking mantra to me. Have confidence. It's a little deranged, but like, whatever fucking gets you hyped. Like, whatever fucking works. Have confidence. That's korone. That's senpai for real. Oh gee. Anyway. Okay. So now we're gonna be talking about like what the book actually like prescribes you do, and there's two things. It's the morning pages and the artist date. At least especially for the first week. I believe there's other tasks later on. I don't know. I didn't get that far. Okay, in order to retrieve your creativity, you need to find it. I ask you to do this as an apparently pointless process I call the morning pages. You will do the pages daily through all weeks of the course, and I hope much longer. I have been doing them for a decade now. I have students who have worked with them nearly that long and who would no more abandon them than breathing. Ginny, a writer-producer, credits the morning pages with inspiration for her recent screenplays and clarity in planning her network specials. I am superstitious about them by now, she says. When I was editing my last special, I would get up at 5 a.m. and get them done before I went to work. What are morning pages? Simply put, the morning pages are 3 pages of longhand written of 3. I was doing 4. Well, I wasn't always doing 4. I kept thinking like, oh, I'm not hitting my page goals. I need to do 4 pages. 3. Fuck me. 3 pages of longhand writing, strictly stream of consciousness. Oh god, another morning. I have nothing to say. I need to wash the curtains. Who the fuck washes curtains? Should I be washing my curtains? Oh shit, I should be washing my curtains. Did I get my laundry yesterday? Blah blah. We might also more ingloriously call that brain drain, since this is one of their main functions. There is no wrong way to do morning pages. These daily morning meanderings are not meant to be art, or even writing. I stress that point to reassure the non-writers working in this book. Writing is simply one of the tools. Pages are meant to be simple and simply the act of moving the hand across the page and writing down whatever comes to mind. Nothing is too petty, no too silly, no too stupid or too weird to be included. The morning pages are not supposed to sound smart, although sometimes they might. Most times they won't, and nobody will ever know except you. Nobody is allowed to read your morning pages except you, and you shouldn't even read them yourself for the first 8 weeks or so. Just write 3 pages, stick them into an envelope, or write 3 pages in a spiral notebook. Don't leaf back through, just write. Write these pages for the next day, and write 3 more pages the next day. Bah, 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 bah. Okay. Morning pages are I'm going to skip this because it's like stories about other people. Morning pages are the primary tool of creativity. Morning pages are the primary tool of creative recovery. As blocked artists, we tend to criticize ourselves mercilessly. Even if we look like functioning artists to the world, we feel we never do enough, and what we do isn't right. These are victims of our own internalized perfectionists and nasty internal and external critics, the censor, who resists on our left brain and keeps us a constant stream of subversive remarks that we often disguise as the truth. The censor says wonderful things like, "You call that writing? What a joke. You can't even punctuate. If you haven't done it by now, you never will. You can't even spell. What do you think you can be creative?" And on and on. Okay. I feel like for a lot of people that might be like a voice of like their parents or people in their lives, like maybe a teacher who said like, "You're not that good though." You know what I mean? Whatever. Get that shit out of your mind. I say to myself, I look at my little VTuber model and I say, "Get that out of your mind, baby." Make this rule. Always remember that your censors' negative opinions are not the truth. This takes practice. By spilling out of bed and straight onto the page every morning, you learn to evade the censor. See, that's what I also struggle with. I got out of bed, got dressed, got to work, tried to act normal for about 20 minutes, and then did my pages. I'm gonna try to wake up early and do them at home, because also I would lug this fucking book to work. Pardonnez-moi. Un momento, por favor. I threw my ruler. I threw my freaking ruler. So I'm not gonna bring this to work anymore. I'm gonna just do it at home. It might take extra long to get used to, but I want to be waking up earlier. And I might be able to have Kaylin or Zanny or Leron or who else streams in the morning? Sometimes, Ash? No, not even sometimes. He did like once or twice. I might be able to watch morning streams. Yippee, 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 yippee. Okay. Where was I? Because there is no wrong way to write morning pages, the censor's opinion doesn't count. Let your censor rattle on, and it will. Just keep your hand moving across the page. Write down the censor's thoughts if you want to. Note, make it Note how it loves to aim for your creative jugular. Make no mistake, censor is out to get you. It is a cunning foe. Every time you get smarter, so does it. So does it. So you wrote one good play, the censor tells you. That's all there is. So you drew your first sketch? It's not Picasso. Bitchy. Yeah, I need to get good as a VA. And two, need to play a bitch. I need to play a real bitch. Think of your censor as a cartoon serpent slithering. Tell me more around your creative Eden. Oh, my Eden. Sorry. If a serpent doesn't appeal to you, you might want to find a good cartoon image of the censor. Maybe a shark from Jaws, put an X through it, post it where you tend to write, or in the inside cover of your notebook, just making the censor into a nasty, clever little character that it begins to pry loose some of its screws over you and your creativity. More than one student has tacked up an unflattering picture of the parent responsible. Be your own parents. Of the parent responsible for the censor's installation in his or her psyche, called that his censor. What? The point is to stop taking the censor as the voice of reason and learn to hear it as the blocking device. Morning pages will help you to do this. Morning pages are non-negotiable. Never skip or skimp on your morning pages. Your mood doesn't matter. The rotting thing that your censors say doesn't matter. You had this idea that we need to be in the mood to write. We don't. Morning pages will teach you that your mood doesn't really matter. Some of the best creative works gets done on the days when you feel that everything that you're doing is just plain junk. The morning pages will teach you to stop judging and just let yourself write. So what if you're tired, crabby, distracted, stressed? Your artist is a child and it needs to be fed. Morning pages feed your artist's child. Let me just get rid of that other sticky. I don't need it. Your artist's child, so write your morning pages. 3 pages of whatever crosses your mind. That's all there is to it. You can't think of anything to write, then write, I can't think of anything to write. Do this until you've filled 3 pages. Do anything until you've filled 3 pages. I started doodling too. I felt like doodling was also something. Is he cheating? A little bit. Do I write about morning? Why do I write about morning pages? I joke to get the others, to get to the other side. So honestly, she starts continuing to just talk about morning pages more, stories about other people going on morning pages. Okay. Let's skip all that. It's just do your fucking morning pages. Just believe in yourself, man. The fuck? Okay. The artist state. The other basic tool of the artist's way may strike you as non-tool, a diversion. Is my head fucked up? No, it's fine. Okay. You may see clearly how morning pages can work, yet find yourself highly dubious about something called an artist state. I assure you, artist states work too. I went on one. It was nice. It was worth it. Honestly, I used to take myself on like artist dates even more previously, but like I was spending money. So think of a combination of tools in terms of a radio receiver, a transmitter. It is a 2-step, 2-directional process, out and then in. Doing your morning pages, you are sending, notifying yourself, the universe, your dreams, dissatisfactions, and hopes. Doing your artist state, you are receiving opening yourself to insight, inspiration, and guidance. But what exactly is an artist state? An artist state is a block of time, perhaps 2 hours weekly, especially set aside and committed to nurturing your creative consciousness, your inner artist. It is most primary form. The artist state is an excursion, a play date that you pre-plan and defend against all interlopers. You do not take anyone on this artist day but you and your inner artist, your creative child. That means no lovers, no friends, spouses, children, no taggers on. Alone. Solo date. Fucking Tiger's honors. What the fuck? If you think this sounds stupid, oh girl, it's you time. It's me time. I love me time. A date? Yes. Okay, I'm skipping to here. A date with my artist? Yes. Your artist needs to be taken out, pampered, and listened to. Purr. Purr. There are many ways to evade this commitment to as there are days of your life. I'm too broke. Although no one said that this date need to involve elaborate expenses. See, I love walking around stores. I love stores. But thankfully, where I live, there are community gardens and parks, and I also it's another store, but like the nursery, the plant nursery. I You can go on a hike, a walk, a trip, um, maybe a day trip somewhere if you can, like just fucking like nurture yourself and like the way I see artist dates is like to visually drink shit in. Just take a good long sip of anything that like stimulates you visually, mentally, emotionally. You dig? Okay. Spending time in solitude with your artist child is essential to self-nurturing. A long country walk, a solitary expedition to the beach for a sunrise or sunset, a sortie out of strange church to hear gospel music, to an ethnic neighborhood to taste what I say. Be mindful of the lens that you are being spoken to in an ethnic neighborhood. Girl, this is written for white people. To taste foreign sights and sounds. Your artist might enjoy any of these, or your artist might like bowling. Commit yourself to a weekly artist date and then watch your killjoy side try to wriggle out of it. Watch the sacred time get easily encroached upon. Watch how the sacred time suddenly includes a third party. Think about learn to guard against these invasions. Above all, learn to listen to whatever your artist child has to say on and about these joint expeditions. For example, oh, I hate this serious stuff, your artist might say. Exclaim to you that you persist on taking it to only grown-up places that are culturally edifying and good for it. Listen to that. It is telling you that your art needs to be more playful, in flow. What the fuck does inflow mean? Okay, just playful. Be more playful, if that's what you're telling yourself. A little fun can go a long way towards making your art feel more like play. We forget that the imagination at play is the heart of all good work. And increasing our capacity for good creative work is what this book is about. You are likely to find yourself avoiding your artist dates. Recognize this resistance as fear of intimacy, self-intimacy. Often in troubled relationships, we settle into an avoidance pattern with our significant other. We don't want to hear what they are thinking about because it just might hurt, so we avoid them, knowing that once they get the chance, our significant other will probably blurt out something we do not want to hear. It is possible that they will want to answer we do not have and we can't give them. It is equally possible we might do the same to them, and then the two of us will start staring at each other in astonishment, saying, "But I never knew you felt that way." It is probable that these self-disclosure, frightening though they are, will lead to the building of the real relationship, one in which the participants are free to be who they are and to become what they wish. This possibility is what makes the risks of self-disclosure and true intimacy profitable. In order to have a real relationship with our creativity, we must take the time to care to cultivate it. Our creativity will use this time to confront us, to confide in it, to bond with us. Let me try this. Ugh. Go over there. To bond with us and to plan. The morning pages acquaint us with what we think and what we think we need. We identify problem areas and concerns. We complain, enumerate, identify, isolate, fret. This is step 1. Analogous to prayer. In the course of of the release engendered by our artist state. Step 2, we begin to hear solutions. Oh my fucking god. I'm trying not to drool. Perhaps equally important, we begin to fund the creative reserves we will draw on in fulfilling our artistry. Girl, that was just the intro. Okay. Okay, this part, filling the well and stocking the pond. Art is an image using system. In order to create, we draw from our inner well. This inner well, an artistic reservoir, is ideally a well-stocked trout pond. We've got big fish, little fish, fat fish, skinny fish, girl. One fish, two fish. Keep an abundance of artistic fish to fry. As artists, we must realize that we have to maintain this artistic ecosystem. If we don't give some attention to upkeep, our well is apt to become depleted, stagnant, or blocked. Any extended period of or piece of work draws heavily on our artistic well. Over tapping the well will overfish the pond, leaves us with diminished resources. We fish in vain for the images we require. Our work dries up and we wonder why, just when it was going so well. The truth is that work can dry up because it is going so well. As artists, we must learn to be self-nourishing. We must become alert enough to consciously replenish our creative resources. We draw on them, we restock the trout pond, so to speak. We call this process filling the well. Filling the well involves the active pursuit of images to refresh our artistic reservoir. Art is born in attention. It is midwife in detail. Art may seem to be spring from pain, but perhaps it is because pain serves to focus our attention into detail. For instance, the excruciatingly beautiful curve of a lost lover's neck. Art may seem to involve broad strokes, grand schemes, great plans, but it is the attention to detail that stays with us. The singular image is what haunts us and becomes art. Even in the midst of pain, this singular image brings delight. The artist who tells you different is lying. In order to function in the language of art, we must learn to live in it comfortably. The language of art is image, symbol. It is wordless language even when our art is to chase it with words. The artist's language is a sensual one, a language of self-experience. When we work at our art, we dip into the well of our experience and scoop out images. Because we do this, we need to learn how to put images back. How do we fill the well? We feed it images. Art is an artistic brain pursuit. The artist brain is our image brain, home and haven to our best creative impulses. The artist brain cannot be reached or triggered effectively by words alone. The artist brain is the sensory brain, sight and sound, smell, taste, touch. These are the elements of magic, and magic is the elemental stuff of art. Like, yes, but like, girl, not my motto clocking my lazy eye. The disrespect, how dare you. Okay. In filling the well, think magic, think delight, think fun. Do not think duty. Do not do what you should do. Spiritual sit-ups like reading a dull but recommended critical text. Do what intrigues you. Explore what interests you. Think mystery, not mastery. Mystery draws us in, leads us on, lures us. A duty may dumb us down, numb us out, turn us off, tune us out. In filling the well, follow your sense of the mysterious, not your sense of what you should know. More about a mystery can be girl. A mystery can be very simple. If I drive this road, not my usual road, what will I see? Changing a known route throws us into the now. We become refocused on the visual world. Sight leads to insight. A mystery can be simpler even than that. If I light this stick of incense, what will I feel? Scent is an often overlooked path to powerful associations and healing. The scent of Christmas at any time of year, or the scent of fresh bread or homemade soup can nourish the hungry artist within. Some sounds lull us, others stimulate us. 10 minutes of listening to a great piece of music can be a very effective meditation. 5 minutes of barefoot dancing to drum music can send our artist into a play-free day refreshed. Refresh, where was that? Filling the well didn't be. Filling the well needn't be all novelty. Cooking can fill the well. When we chop and pare vegetables, we do so with our thoughts as well. Remember, art is an artist brain pursuit. I need to look up her movies because Any regular repetitive action primes the well. Writers have heard many woeful tales of the Bronte sisters and poor Jane Austen, forced to hide their stories under their needlework. A little experiment with some mending can cast a whole new light on these activities. Needlework, by definition, regular and repetitive, both soothes and stimulates the artist within. Sorry. Whole plots can be stitched up while we sew. As artists, we very literally reap what we sow. Why do I get the best ideas from the shower? An exasperated Einstein is said to have remarked. Where? Brain research now tells us that this is because showering is an artist's brain activity. Showering, swimming, scrubbing, shaving, steering a car, so many S-like yes words. All of these are regular repetitive activities that we can tip us over from our logic brain into our more creative brain. Sources to sticky creative problems may bubble up through the dishwash, emerge on the freeway just as we are executing a tricky merge. Learn which of these works best for you. Use it. Many artists have found it useful to keep a notepad or tape recorder next to them as they drive. Steven Spielberg claimed that his very best ideas have come to him when he was driving the freeway. This is no accident. Negotiating the flow of traffic, he was an artist immersed in an oncoming, ever-altering flow of images. Images trigger the artist's brain. Images fill the well. Our focused attention is critical to filling the well. We need to encounter our life experiences, not ignore them. Many of us read compulsively to screen our awareness. On the crowded, interesting train, we train our attention on a newspaper, losing the sights and sounds around us, all images for the well. Artist block is a very literal expression. Blocks must be acknowledged and dislodged. Filling the well is the surest way to do this. Art is the imagination at play in the field of time. Let yourself play. Okay. Let me double check how long week 1 is. I might want to save this for next time if it's too long. Frickety frack. It is 8 pages. Eight pages, 8 pages. You know, I can probably read. Okay. Let's see. I want a book stand. I have one. Let me find my book stand real quick. Or I'm gonna keep holding it. Whatever happens. I smell pizza rolls. I'm pretty sure my downstairs neighbors were smoking and then eating. I smell it again. I smell marijuana and pizza rolls. I have pizza. I don't need pizza rolls. I have actual pizza. It's pineapple pizza. Hawaiian. Spicy Hawaiian with chicken and jalapenos. Okay. I'm gonna just read this fast. Recovering a sense of safety. One of our chief needs as creative beings is support. Unfortunately, this can be hard to come by. Ideally, we would be nurtured and encouraged first by our nuclear family, and then by ever-widening circles of friends, teachers, well-wishers. As young artists, we need and want to be acknowledged by our attempts and efforts as well as for our achievements and triumphs. Unfortunately, many artists never receive this critical early encouragement. As a result, they may not know that we are artists at all. Parents seldom respond. Try and see what happens to artistic urges issuing from their offspring. They often cautionarily advise where support might be more to the point. Timid young artists, adding parental fears to their own, often give up their sunny dreams of artistic careers. Where was I? Settling into the twilight world of could have beens and regrets. There, caught between the dream of action and the fear of failure, shadow artists are born. I am thinking here of... It's getting sunnier. Turn off this light. Really sunny. Holy shit. Is it really sunny? Really sunny? Watermelon. And I'm living the dream. Does that help? No, not really. If anything, it made it worse. Whatever. Okay. It looks like I'm reading a blank book. There's words on this book. I just can't cover up my there's a camera right here. That's my face tracking. And my camera up here. Got a lot of cameras going. I am thinking here of Edwin, a miserable millionaire trader whose joy in life comes from his art collection. Strongly gifted in the visual arts, he was urged as a child to go into finance. His father bought him a seat on the stock exchange for his 21st birthday. He was a trader ever since. Now in his mid-30s, he is very rich and very poor. Money cannot buy him creative fulfillment. Surrounding himself with artists and artifacts, he is the kid with his nose pressed to the candy store window. He would love to be more creative, but believes that is the prerogative of others. Nothing he can aspire to for himself. A generous man, he recently gifted an artist with a year's living expense so she could pursue her dreams. Raised to believe that the term artist could not apply to him, he cannot make the same gift for himself. Edwin is not an isolated case. All too often, the artistic urge of the artistic child are ignored or suppressed. Often, with the best intentions, parents try to foster a different, more sensible self for the child. Stop daydreaming is one frequently heard admonition. You'll never amount to anything if you keep on with your head in the clouds, is another. Baby artists are encouraged to think and act like baby doctors or lawyers. A rare family faced with the myth of the starving artist tells the child to go right ahead and try for a career in the arts. Instead of encouraging at all, the children are urged into thinking of the artists as hobbies, creative fluff around the edge of life. For many artists, a career in the arts exists outside of the social and economical reality. Art doesn't pay the electric bills. As a result, if the child is encouraged to consider art in job terms at all, he or she must consider it sensibly. Our Erin, a gifted children's therapist, was in her mid 30s before she began experiencing a haunting dissatisfaction with her work. Unsure what direction to take, she began adapting a children's book for the screen. Midway through the adaptation, she suddenly had a telling dream about abandoning her own artist life child. Prior to becoming a therapist, she had been gifted an art she had been a gifted art student. For decades, she had suppressed her creative urges, pouring all of her creativity into helping others. Now, nearly 40, she found herself longing to help herself. I'm gonna go to the restroom super duper quick. I'm back. Hello. Let me just make sure. This is working. Okay, Slay. Okay. Okay. Just get comfortable again. It's getting sunnier. It was pretty cloudy when I first started stream. That's kind of annoying. Okay. Okay, we were talking about the teacher who was nearing 40 and found herself longing to help herself. Erin's story is all too common. Fledgling artists may be encouraged to be art teachers or specialize in crafts with the handicapped. Young writers may be pushed towards lawyering, a talky, wordy profession, or into medical school because you're so smart. And so the child who is themselves a born storyteller may be converted into a gifted therapist who gets his stories secondhand. Too intimidated to become artists themselves, very often too low in self-worth to even recognize that they have an artistic dream, these people become shadow artists instead. Artists themselves, but ignorant to their true identity. Shadow artists may be found shadowing declared artists, unable to recognize that they themselves may possess a creativity that they so admire. They often date or marry people who actively pursue the art career that they themselves secretly long for. When Jerry was still blocked as an artist, he began to date Lisa, a gifted but broke freelance artist. "I'm your biggest fan," he often told her. What he did not immediately tell her was that he himself dreamed of being a filmmaker. He had, in fact, an entire library of film books and avidly devoured a special interest magazine on filmmaking, but he was afraid to take steps to actualize his interest. Instead, he poured his time and attention into Lisa and Lisa's art career. Under his guidance, her career flourished, and she became solvent and increasingly well known. Jerry remained blocked in his own behalf. When Lisa suggests he take a filmmaking course, he ran for cover. Not everyone can be an artist, he told her, and himself. Artists love other artists. Shadow artists are gravitating to their rightful tribe, but cannot yet claim their birthright. Very often, audacity, not talent, makes one person an artist and another a shadow artist. Hiding in the shadows, afraid to step out and expose the dream to the light, fearful that it will disintegrate to the touch. Shadow artists often choose shadow careers, those close to the desired art, even parallel to it, but not the art itself. Noting their venom, Francois Truffaut contended that critics were themselves block directors, as he had been when he was a critic. He may be right. Intended fiction writers often go into newspapering or advertising, where they can use their gifts without taking the plunge into the dreamed of fiction writing career. Intended artists may become art managers and derive a great deal of secondary pleasure from serving their dream even at one remove. Carolyn herself, a gifted photographer, made a successful but unhappy career as a photographer's rep. Jean, who yearned to create feature films, wrote mini-movies in her 30-second commercial spots. Kelly, who wanted to be a writer but feared taking her creativity seriously, made a profitable career of repping really creative people. Shadow artists these women needed to place themselves and their dreams stage center. They knew this. They didn't dare. They had been raised to the role of shadow artists and would need to work consciously to dismantle it. It takes a great deal of ego strength to say to a well-meaning but domineering parent, or just plain domineering one, wait a minute, I too am an artist. The dreaded response may come back, how do you know? And of course, the fledgling artist does not know. There is just this dream, this feeling, this urge, this desire, that there is a seldom any real proof, but the dream lives on. As a rule of thumb, shadow artists judge themselves harshly, beating themselves for years over the fact that they have not acted on their dream. This cruelly only reinforces their status as shadow artists. Remember, it takes nurturing to make an artist. Shadow artists do not receive the sufficient nurturing. They blame themselves for not acting fearlessly anyhow. Whatever. In a twisted version of Darwinism, determinism, we tell ourselves that real artists can survive the most hostile environments and yet find their true calling, like homing pigeons. That's hogwash. Many real artists bear children too early, or have too many, or are too poor, or too far removed culturally or monetarily from artistic opportunity to become the artists they really are. These artists, shadow artists, through no fault of their own, hear the distant piping of the dream, but are unable to make their way through the cultural maze to find it. For all shadow artists, life may be a discontented experience filled with a sense of purpose and unfulfilled promise. They want to write, but they are afraid to take themselves seriously. In order to move from the realm of shadow into the light of creativity, shadow artists must learn to take themselves seriously. With a gentle, deliberate effort, they must nurture their artistic child. Creativity is play, but for shadow artists, learning to allow themselves to play is hard work. That part sucked. That part hurt. Cat hands. Ugh. Protecting the artist child within. Remember, your artist is a child. Find and protect that child. Learning to let yourself create is like learning to walk. The artist child must begin by crawling. Baby steps will follow, and there will be falls. Yecchi, Yecchy. I don't know that word. I'm guessing it means kind of yucky. First paintings, beginning films that look like unedited home movies, first poems that would shame a greeting card. Typically, the recovering shadow artist will use these early efforts to discourage continued exploration. This is why I'm very pro redrawing memes, drawing silly little doodles that like just keep you fucking going. Just something that's easy to finish that will like satisfy the part of your brain that's like not things aren't good enough. Um, just fucking doodle something. It's so good. So helpful. Judging your early artistic efforts is artist abuse. This happens in many numbers of ways. Beginning work is measured against the masterwork of other artists. Beginning comparisons, the thief of joy type shit. Beginning work is exposed to premature criticism, shown to overly critical friends. In short, the fledgling artist behaves with well-practiced masochism. Masochism is an art form long ago mastered, perfected during the years of self-reproach. The habit is the self-hating bludgeon with which a shadow artist can beat himself right back into the shadows. In recovering from our creative blocks, it is necessary to go gently and slowly. What we are after here is the healing of old wounds, not the creation of new ones. No high jumps, please. Mistakes are necessary. Stumbles are normal. These are baby steps. Progress, not perfection, is what we should be asking for ourselves. Too far, too fast, we can undo ourselves. Creative recovery is like marathon training. We want to log 10 slow miles for every one fast mile. This can go against the ego's grain. We want to be great, immediately great, but that is not how recovery works. It is an awkward, tentative, even embarrassing process. There will be many times when we won't look good to ourselves, to anyone else. We need to stop demanding what we do. That we do. It is impossible to get better and look good at the same time. In the lovely and immortal words of Jake the dog, sucking is how you get kind of good at stuff. And I may have misquoted that, but it's still true. Sucking is how you get better. Remember that in order to recover an artist... Okay, I already said that. Oh yeah. Remember that in order to recover as an artist, you must be willing to be a bad artist. Give yourself permission to be a beginner. By being willing to be a bad artist, you have a chance to be an artist. Perhaps over time, a very good one. When I make this point in teaching, I am met by instant defensive hostility. But you know how old I will be by the time I learn to really play the piano, act, paint, write a decent play? Yes, the same age you will be if you don't. Let's get started. Your enemy within, core negative beliefs. Most of the time, when we are blocked in an area of our life, it is because we feel safer that way. We may not be happy, but at least we know what we are unhappy. Much fear in our own creativity is the fear of the unknown. If I am fully creative, what will it mean? What will happen to me and to others? We have some pretty awful notions about what could happen, so rather than find out, we decide to stay blocked. This is seldom a conscious decision. It is more often an unconscious response to internalized negative self-beliefs. In this week, we will work at uncovering our negative beliefs and discarding them. It is a list of commonly held negative. Here's a list of commonly held negative beliefs. I can't be successful, prolific, creative because everyone will hate me. I will hurt my friends and family. I will go crazy. I will abandon my friends and family. I can't spell. Girl, neither can I. I don't have good enough ideas. I do. I know I do. I will upset my mother or father. Yeah, they're already upset with me. Whatever. I will have to be alone. Kind of. I will find out I'm gay. I'm gay. I will find out I'm straight. I will be struck straight. No. Don't wish that upon me. I will do bad work and not know it and look like a fool. Ouch. I will feel too angry. Yeah. I will never have any real money. Yeah. I will get self-destructive and drink and drug or sex myself to death. Yeah. I will get cancer, AIDS, or a heart attack or the plague. Huh? My lover will leave me. I will die. Well, I will. I will feel bad because I don't deserve to be successful. I know I do. I will have only one good piece of work in me. Hey. One's more than zero. It's too late. I haven't become a fully functioning artist yet. I never will. That's bullshit. There's so many times like I'm on Twitter and I see, or I'm online and I see, oh, my mom, my grandpa, my uncle, they were an artist. They just never were published. Like they have a barn full of drawings. Blah 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 blah. Don't matter. None of these core negatives need to be true. They come to us from our parents, our religion, our culture, and our fearful friends. Let me just put it back on the chat. Okay. Each one of these beliefs reflects notions we have about what it means to be an artist. Once we have cleared away the most weeping cultural negatives, we may find we still stubbornly left with core negatives we have acquired from our families, teachers, and friends. I read that kind of funny, but I read it right. These are often more subtle, but equally undermining if not confronted. Our business here is confronting them. Negative beliefs are exactly that, beliefs, not facts. The world was never flat, although everyone believed it was. You're not dumb, crazy, egomaniacal, grandiose, or silly just because you falsely believe yourself to be. ASMR, I'm drinking Mountain Valley spring water bottled in the Washita Mountains. Except it's just the tap water. It's tap water. What you are is scared. Core negatives keep you scared. The bottom line is that core negatives, personal and cultural, always go for your jugular. They attack your sexuality, your lovability, your intelligence, whatever vulnerability they can latch onto. Other core negative beliefs and their positive alternatives are listed below. Okay, here's some negative beliefs. Artists are drunk, crazy, broke, irresponsible, loners, promiscuous, doomed, unhappy, born not made. Positive alternatives: sober, sane, solvent. I think that means money. You got money. Responsible, user friendly. I don't like that. Faithful, saved, happy, discovered, and recovered. I don't know how I feel about that one. Discovered and recovered. Huh. Ooh. For example, in female artists, the artists are promiscuous cliche may have in its place a personal negative. No man will ever love you if you're an artist. Artists are either celibate or gay. Hee hee. Then this negative picked up from a mother or teacher and unarticulated by the young artist can be constitute grounds for a powerful block. Similarly, a young male artist may have the personal negative, male artists are either gay or impotent. This notion, picked up from a teacher or from reading too much about Fitzgerald and Hemingway, may again create a block. Who wants to be sexually dysfunctional? Girl, what? A gay artist may have yet another spin on the ball. Only heterosexual art is really acceptable. So why make art if I have to either disguise it or come out of the closet, whether I want to or not? What? Stripped to their essential, our multiple negative beliefs reveal a central negative belief. We must trade one good, beloved dream for another. In other words, if being an artist seems too good to be true, you will devise a price tag for it that strikes you as unpayable. Hence, you remain blocked. Girl, what? Okay. Most block creatives carry unacknowledged either or reasoning that stands between them and their work. To become unblocked, we must recognize our either or thinking. We can either be romantically happy or an artist. We can either be financially successful or an artist. It is possible, quite possible, to be both an artist and romantically fulfilled. It was quite possible to be an artist and financially successful. Your block doesn't want you to see that. The whole plan of attack is to make you irrationally afraid of some dire outcome you are too embarrassed to even mention. You know rationally that writing or painting shouldn't be put off because of your silly fear. But because it is a silly fear, you don't air it out. The block stays intact. In this way, you're a bad speller. Successfully overrides all computer spelling programs. You know it's dumb to worry about spelling. So you don't mention it. And since you don't, it continues to block you from finding a solution. Spelling fear is a remarkably common block. Oh, what? Okay, I ain't afraid to whip out the Google. I ain't afraid to like, hey Siri, how do I spell so and so? What and what? Okay. Let me double check how long ago this was written. I have a feeling it's like from the 90s. Oh, 07? I think originally written in 92. This version is from 07. 92. Okay. So like also like mine, that's where like a lot of the outdated thinking comes from. This was published in the 90s. I'm assuming this person wrote this probably in their 30s or 40s, maybe even their 50s. Honestly, if they had been teaching this class, they were probably in their 50s, maybe even early 60s. You know. So the lens we must always remember what we are getting this information from through. You know. Where was I? Your blog doesn't want you to see that. A whole plan of attack is to make you irrationally afraid of some dire outcome you are too embarrassed to even mention. You know? No, I read this already. In the next part of this week, we will excavate your unconscious belief by using some logic brain, artist brain learning tricks. This may strike you as hokey and unproductive. Again, that's resistance. If internalized negativity is the enemy within, what follows is some effective weaponry. Try it before discarding it out of hand. Okay. I remember this part being a little bit like, okay. It's like correct, but I'm okay. Your ally within. Affirmation weapons. As blocked creatives, we often sit on the sidelines critiquing those in the game. He's not so talented. We may say of a current hot artist. We may be right about that. All too often, it is audacity and not talent that moves an artist to center stage. As blocked creatives, we tend to disregard these bogus spotlight grabbers with animosity. We may be able to defer to true genius, but if it's merely a genius for self-promotion we're witnessing, our resentment runs high. This is not just jealousy, it is a stalling technique that reinforces our staying stuck. We make speeches to ourselves and other willing victims. I could do that better if only but ... You could do it better if only you would let yourself do it. Affirmations will help you allow yourself to do it. An affirmation is a positive statement or positive belief, and if we become 1/10 as good as positive self-talk as we are at negative self-talk, we will notice an enormous change. Affirmations help achieve a sense of safety and hope. When we first start working with affirmations, they may feel dumb, hokey, embarrassing. Isn't that interesting? We can easily and without embarrassment bludgeon ourselves with negative affirmations. I'm not gifted enough, not clever enough, not original enough, not young enough. But saying nice things about ourselves is notoriously hard to do. It feels pretty awful at first. Try these and see if they don't sound hopelessly syrupy. 1 second. I deserve love. I deserve fair pay. I deserve a rewarding, creative life. I am a brilliant and successful. I am a brilliant and successful artist. I have rich creative talents. I am competent and confident in my creative work. Did your censor perk up its nasty little ears? Censors loathe anything that sounds like real self-worth. They immediately start up with the imposter routine. Who do you think you are? It is through our entire collective unconscious sat up late night watching. What do I see? What do I just fucking see? What the hell? Weird. Who do you think you are? It is as though our entire collective unconscious sat up late night watching Walt Disney's 101 Dalmatians and practicing Cruella de Vil's delivery for scathing indictments. Just try picking an affirmation. For example, I, your name, am a brilliant and prolific potter, painter, poet, whatever you are. Write that 10 times in a row. While you are busy doing that, something very interesting will happen. Your censor will start to object. Hey, wait a minute, you can't say that about yourself. Objections will start to pop up like burnt toast. These are your blurts. Listen to that objection. Look at the ugly, stumpy little blurts. Brilliant and prolific. Sure you are. Think when? Since when? Can't spell. Shadi really caught up on spelling. You can't write. You call writer's block prolific? You're just kidding yourself. An idiot. Grandiose. Why are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Who do you think you are? And so on. You will be amazed by the rotten things your subconscious will blurt out. Write them down. Those blurts flag your personal negative core beliefs. They hold the key to your freedom in that ugly little clause. Make a list of your personal blurts. It is time to do a little detective work. Where do your blurts come from? Mom, dad, teachers? Using your list of blurts, scan your past for possible sources. At least some of them will spring violently to mind. One effective way to locate the source of is time travel. What? Oh, break your life into 5-year increments. List by name your major influences in each time block. Paul had always wanted to be a writer, and yet, after a brief flurry of college creativity, he stopped showing his writing to anyone. Instead of the short stories he dreamed of, he kept journaling after journal, each following the last into a dark drawer far from prying eyes. Why he did this was a mystery to him until he tried working with affirmations and blurts. Where is it? When Paul began writing his affirmations, he was immediately shaken by an almost volcanic blast of disparagement. He wrote, I, Paul, am a brilliant, prolific writer. From deep in his unconsciousness, there erupted a spewing torrent of self-abuse and self-doubt. It was numbingly specific and somehow familiar. You're kidding yourself, a fool, no real talent, a pretender. Dilettante. Dilettante? Dilly, what? Where'd I go? Dilettante. Hold on, let me Google that. D-I-L. Where'd it go? E-T-T-A-N-T. Put it back on.
Dilettante.
Dilettante?
Dilettante.
A person who cultivates an area of interest, such as the arts, without real commitment or not. the shade. Dilettante. It's getting dark again. Is it gonna rain? Is this the same song? New song. Okay. Dilettante. Her. Just... quick second. Dilettante, dilettante, dilettante. Okay. Where did this core belief come from? Who would have said this to him? When Paul went time traveling to look for the villain, he located him with great embarrassment. Yes, there was a villain. An incident he had been too ashamed to share and air. A malevolent early teacher had first praised his work and then set about a sexual seduction. Fearful that he would somehow invite the man's attention, ashamed lest the work really be rotten too, Paul buried the incident with his unconsciousness where it festered. No wonder secondary motives were always a fear when someone praised him. No surprise he felt that someone would praise his work and not mean it. Boiled down to its essentials, Paul's core negative belief was that he was only kidding himself when that he could write. His belief had dominated his thinking for a decade. Whenever people complimented him on his work, he was deeply suspicious of them and their motives. He had all but dropped friends once they had expressed interest in his talents. He had certainly stopped trusting them. When his girlfriend, Mimi, expressed interest in his talents, he stopped trusting her. Once Paul brought his monster up from the depths, he could begin to work on it. I, Paul, have a real talent. I, Paul, trust and enjoy positive feedback. I, Paul, have a real talent. Although some positive affirmations may feel uncomfortable at first, they rapidly allowed Paul the freedom to participate in the first public reading of his work. When he was widely praised, he was able to accept the good response without discounting it. And then there's a list of creative affirmations, so I'm going to read that real quick, and then we'll get to yeah, that's Paul. Okay, creative affirmations. I am a channel for God's creativity, and my work comes to good. My dreams come from God, and God has the power to accomplish them. Remember, not like the Christian God, like the God of creativity within one's own mind. You don't have to call it God, you can call it whatever you want. I create and listen. As I create and listen, I will be led. Creativity is the creator's will for me. My creativity heals myself and others. I'm allowed to nurture my artist. Through the use of a few simple tools, my creativity will flourish. Through the use of my creativity, I serve God. My creativity always leads me to truth and love. My creativity leads me to forgiveness and self-forgiveness. There was a divine plan of goodness for me. There is a divine plan of goodness for my work. As I listen to the creator within, I am led. As I listen to the creativity, I am led to my creator. I am willing to create. I am willing to learn and let others create. I am willing to let God create through me. I am willing to be of service through my creativity. I am willing to experience my creative talents. I am willing to use my creative talents. Use your affirmations after your morning pages. Also, use any of the creative affirmations listed. Okay. Just... we got through it. Slay. Okay. Tasks. Every morning, set your clock 1/2 hour early. Get up, write 3 pages of longhand stream of conscious morning writing. Do not reread these pages or allow anyone else to read them. Ideally, stick these pages in large manila envelope. Hide them somewhere. Welcome to the morning pages. They will change you. This week, please be sure to work with your affirmations of choice and your blurts at the end of each day, each morning page. Convert all blurts into positive affirmations. Take yourself on an artist date. You will do this every week for the duration of the course. A sample artist date. Take $5, go to your local 5 and dime, buy silly things like gold stickum stars, stickers, tiny dinosaurs, some postcards, sparkly sequin blue, kids, scissors, crayons. You might give yourself a gold star on your envelope each day you write, just for fun. Is this the kind of me? Maybe. I have stamps. Take yourself on an artist date. You will do this every week for the duration of this course. A sample first artist date. Oh, that was it. Okay. Travel time. List 3 old enemies of your creative self-worth. Please be as specific as possible in doing this exercise. Your historic monsters are the building blocks of your core negative beliefs. Yes, rotten sister Anna Rita from 5th grade does count. The rotten thing she said to you does matter. Put her in. This is your monster hall of fame. More monsters will come to you as you work through your recovery. It is always necessary to acknowledge creative injuries and grieve them. Otherwise, they become creative scar tissue and block your growth. Travel time. Time travel. Select and write out 1 horror story from your Monster Hall of Fame. You do not need to write long or much. Just jot down whatever details come back to you. The room you were in, the way people looked at you, the way you felt, what your parents said or didn't say when you told them about it. Include whatever rankles you about the rankles you about the incident. And then I remember she gave me this real fakey smile and patted my head. Damn. Hater Supreme. Okay. Write a letter to the editor in your defense. Wait, am I in the right place? No. You may find it cathartic to draw a sketch of your old monster or clip out an image that invokes the incident for you. Cartoon trashing your monster, or at least draw a nice red X through it. Write a letter to the editor in your defense. Mail it to yourself. It is great fun to write this letter in the voice of your wounded artist child. To whom it may concern, Sister Ann Rita is a jerk, has pig eyes, and I can spell. Genuinely, what is it about it? Probably had dyslexia and probably is just taking out on us. List 3 old champions of your creative self-worth. This is your hall of champions. Those who wish you and your creativity well. Be specific. Every encouraging word counts. Even if you disbelieve a compliment, record it. It may well be true. If you are stuck for compliment, go back through your time traveling log and look for positive memories. When, where, and why did you feel good about yourself? Who gave you affirmation? Additionally, Alexa, turn on plant light.
Okay.
And now it's too bright. Additionally, you may wish to write the compliment out and decorate it. Post it near where you do your morning pages or on the dashboard of your car. I put mine in the chassis of my computer to cheer me as I write. I think she just means the tower. Write out one happy piece of encouragement. Write a thank you letter. Mail it to yourself or to the long lost mentor. Imaginary friends. If you have 5 other lives to lead, what would you do with each of them? I would be a pilot, a cowhand, a physicist, a psychic, a monk. You might be a scuba diver, a cop, a writer of children's books, a football player, a belly dancer, a painter, a performative artist, a history teacher, a healer, a coach, a scientist, a doctor, a Peace Corps worker, a psychologist, a fisherman, a minister, an auto mechanic. Girl, Barbie, chill. So many dreams in the house. The point of these lives is to have fun with them. More fun than you might be having in this one. Look over your list and select one. Then do it this week. For instance, if you put down country singer, can you pick a guitar? Like buy a guitar? I can buy a guitar. Oh god, I have a guy who helps me buy a guitar. I can buy as many guitars as you want, baby. I don't know why the fuck I said that. If you dream about being a cowhand, what about some horseback riding? Now, who the hell has time to go ride a horse? I can play some Uma Musume. In working with affirmations and blurts, very often, injuries and monsters swim back to us. Add these to your list as they occur to you. Work with each blurt individually. Turn each negative into a positive affirmation. Take your artist for a walk, the 2 of you. A brisk 20-minute walk can dramatically alter consciousness. Okay, check-ins. You will do check-ins each week. If you are running out your creative week, Sunday to Sunday, do your check-ins each Sunday. Remember, this is your recovery of yours. What you think is important. It will become increasingly interesting to you as you progress. You may want to do check-ins in your morning pages, notebooks. It's best to answer by hand and allow about 20 minutes to respond. The purpose of check-ins is to give you a journal of your creative journey. It is my hope that you will later share the tools with others, and in doing so, find your own notes invaluable. Yes, I was mad in week 4. I loved week 5. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? 7 out of 7? We always hope. But how was this experience for you? Did you do your artist date this week? Yes, of course. I always hope. And yet, artist dates can be remarkably difficult to allow yourself. What did you do? How did you feel? Were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them. Slay. Okay. So that's the first week. I will check in next Sunday or Saturday. This was meant to be done on Saturday, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So next week, I'll check in with another stream. I'll read the next chapter. I'm gonna do my pages on my own, because I don't know what I'm gonna write and what's it gonna come out of me. This is my first attempt. When did I do this? It's summer. So I did this in summer of last year. It looks like the last page I wrote was this October 29th. But I'm pretty sure I took a pretty long break. Because I had a pretty bad crash out. Yeah, this is summer. Yeah. I had a pretty gnarly crash out between whatever the seventh month is, July to here it is. Don't read it, but yeah, I was not happy in that moment. Okay, so I will be back either next Saturday or Sunday, same time, 10 o'clock, and I'll read the next chapter out. If you want to follow along with me, don't hesitate to tweet at me. My Twitter page is _bimbobilia. Bobinko Bimbobilia is my handle name. You can find me on Twitter. I'm also on Blue Sky. I'm here on YouTube. Everywhere, Bobinko Bimbobilia. Baby. I'll see you next weekend. Bye.